It's the Puck Walk Podcast with TJ Luckman and Andy Meyer. Yes, hello and welcome to the 6th edition of the Puck Walk Podcast. That's right, I'm TJ Luckman, and with me is my partner in crime, Andy Meyer. Andy, how are you?
I'm doing well. Lucky number 6, right? That's what they say? Lucky number...
They never say that.
All right.
You gotta wait one for it.
Off to a great start.
Today's a very special day. The Sabres hired former Penguins head coach Dan Bylsma today, and for that we wanted to bring in a very special guest. We welcome Joe Yerdon, NHL.com correspondent for the Buffalo Sabres. Joe, how are you? Joe, can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay, we're having some difficulty with Joe hearing us. Joe,
it was. I got to say, it was a pretty happy going situation. I'm not sorry, guys. I know we're working on the fly here, but all I can hear is like a Bulls press conference in the background.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's sorry about that. How's it now?
No, it's still going. Yes. Oh, no worries. I totally thought it was weird that we were starting off talking about the Chicago Bulls. So. Well, he would be a bit of an out there choice. I'll say that much. Well, you know who else never missed the playoffs coaching a team was Dan Bylsma. He's in the same boat. Won a Stanley Cup, made the playoffs every year with the Penguins. Pretty sure he made the playoffs every year with the Penguins. Yeah, but yeah, same boat as far as that goes. It's kind of a neat thing, really. It's basically like getting a younger, lighter version of Mike Babcock.
Was kind of the goal.
Tech is failing me at the moment, and I apologize, Joe. I should have been more prepared, obviously.
Yeah, it only comes through when one of you guys aren't talking, or if I'm not talking, then it comes through. No, it's his system and it's his coaching techniques, I guess, and his strategies. That to me is the biggest part of getting a new coach in here, especially a guy like Bylsma, because if you get somebody in there, and granted, it was going to be hard to do worse than how Ted Nolan did with Buffalo, the last year and a half, and there was no way the Sabres were going to be a worse team this year. I think regardless, I mean, provided, the strategy's changed. But I think with what Bylsma does and what he wants to do with this team, I think this is the exact type of guy that you have to have in there to coach these guys up and to get things going in the right direction. Now, and he didn't talk about strategy or what kind of systems he wants to implement today. I mean, you're not going to do that, the day you're hired. That's just silly. But I think with what he wants to do, as far as changing the culture, I mean, that's a big deal. But, as far as getting this team playing a different kind of hockey and not be okay with losing, to be, to want to hate losing more than you love winning, I think that's a big part of what he's going to bring into here. And, Dan Bylsma's got a lot to prove for himself, to show that, it is what he can do. That, as well as the talent that was there in Pittsburgh, that he can make it work for Buffalo and help bring them back into the playoffs and make them a cup contender some point down the road.
For a Stanley Cup winning head coach and a guy that has a pretty decent resume in the, I don't want to say short, but in the, in the not crazy tenured experience that he had, I mean, he caught a lot of criticism from a lot of different places. And, I mean, do you think a lot of that has to do with just how he sort of flamed out in Pittsburgh? Like, the way it dramatically... Like, I was talking to a coworker today. He's like, oh, it's a terrible hire. They ripped him apart in Pittsburgh at the end. You should have heard those fans. So, I mean, like, what do you have to say? Like, what do you think about that,
Look at what
Joe?
Mike Johnson had to put up with this year in Pittsburgh. I think a lot of that has to be the angst that's there in Pittsburgh from only winning one Stanley Cup in 2009. I think that's a big part of it. Everybody, they get Crosby, they get Malkin, they get Fleury, they get Letang, they get all these guys in there where, the talent is just, way above board. And, every year they're a legitimate cup contender. Every year since 2009, they bowed out of the playoffs early. And, that becomes an issue where it's almost like first world problems for the Pens, because it's like, oh, well, you make the playoffs every year, maybe you win a division title here or there, but you're not winning the cup, so you stink, get out. And, it's one of those things where, teams like Buffalo, teams like Edmonton, teams like, even Carolina, look at that and they say, geez, I really wish we could have problems like that where we make the playoffs every year and maybe you make you get out of the first round, you get to the second round, maybe you make a conference final, but it's one of those things where doing so much is only good enough. And for Pittsburgh, it was all about winning cups, and they didn't win cups, so they stink. And that all fell on Bylsma's shoulders because him and Shiro it just didn't work out that last year. Shiro made a few moves where it kind of gutted his depth, and it really hurt them. And and you get that, and then you get that shot from the bench where Crosby appears to be yelling at Bylsma, and if it ain't happy, then nobody's happy. It's like one of those kind of things. But it's a different situation here. There isn't one star that is going to override the coach. He's getting in before Jack Eichel gets here, so he's going to have like that kind of pre-established, like, hey, you're the star here, but I'm the coach. I'm the guy that's trying to make this work, and you're still a kid that's got to learn stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I find it funny that we're talking about how something happened in Bylsma's and Shiro's final season, and we're talking about a season where they won 51 regular season games, but they had an early playoff exit. So obviously it didn't go well.
Well, that's just it. It was an early playoff exit, and one where they were up 3-1 on the Rangers, and then Henrik Lundqvist showed up for the last 3 games of the series, and I think Pittsburgh scored 1 goal in those 3 games. I mean, that's one of those things where you could say, well, geez, we had all these opportunities to put it away, but the other goalie stood on his head, and that's a coaching problem because they weren't able to score on the power play. They weren't able to get the offense going better than they had it, and it's just one of those things where. It's a bit of bad luck, but, sometimes somebody else's bad luck is good luck for another team. And I think in this case, it's the Sabres. I think Bylsma's a fantastic guy to get in there.
Yeah, he seems like a good. I mean, he was able to develop. I don't know if he developed Crosby. He came into Crosby's career 3 years in, so he was 21 by the time Evgeny Malkin would have been, 20. But so it's like I said, he seems to be good with player development.
But it's kind of funny too, like talking about getting to the point of like problems. It's sort of funny, like the relativity of the NHL, where like a few first-round exits for the Sabres right now would be like, that's the goal. Not like the goal isn't to exit in the first round, but it's like if the Sabres got to the first round in any of the next two seasons,
we'd be going crazy.
Yeah, it'd be great. So it's like kind of funny the relative nature of the NHL.
It's funny because I mean you could dial back and look at the Sabres issues over the last however long, and okay, they haven't made the playoffs in a few years. They lose to Philadelphia in 10 or 11, whatever it was. And, they haven't gotten out of the first round in ages. Like when they were a consistent playoff team, they were always losing in the first round. I think that's where the bars are set now for Dan Bylsma. I think it's get the team back to the playoffs eventually. Maybe not next season, but the season after, and then once you get to the postseason, then it's like, all right, let's start knocking teams off. Let's start advancing through these rounds and try to make something of it. And I think it seems almost like it's too easy, but I think that's where the bar is set for as far as accomplishments. I mean, you can't jump in here and not make the playoffs in his first 3 years because that ain't gonna fly.
Yeah, definitely. What are Bylsma's? You talk about the first 3 years. Let's look at this year. What are his expectations for this year, do you think?
Well, I think it's basic improvement. Make sure all these young guys aren't tailing off, which might be tough considering you might have a few guys with like sophomore slump type situations coming in. But I think the biggest thing for them is just win more. Honestly, you can't. I think if they crack 70 points, I think that's a dramatic improvement because you're talking 9, 10 more wins. And it sounds crazy, but that's how bad things are, or how bad they've been the last 2 years. You can't just crack 60 points and go, hey, we did better. It's like, well, great, maybe you won 3 more games. That's not going to cut it. And and they've got a lot of things they got to take care of this summer. They got to get a goalie. They got to figure out where some of the young guys are at and figure out what's going to go on with the defense and some of these forwards. But I think for them, you got to go past 70 points. I think that's where the goal is this year. You're still going to be a lottery team, but you're not going to be one of those teams that's going to be flying in there with with the heavy percentage that you're going to win it. You want to be kind of in that middle end of the pack area where you've had a solid season, you had a solid rebound season, but you still weren't making the postseason anyhow.
Yeah, totally. And I remember Tim Murray said a while back, like, oh, well, next season we'll evaluate where we are, and if we end up close to the lottery again, then we might take a shot at it. But, that's kind of the nature of I mean, they're not going to improve overnight, but yeah, I totally agree. They just got to win. Switching gears slightly to the press conference today, because you were there, you were sitting there, you asked a question, like the 6th question or something like that. There was a lot of talk of culture today, especially like towards the like 70% of the way through the press conference. There was Murray mentioned a few times that one of the reasons he brought in Bylsma was to establish a winning culture, and Bylsma basically said he just wants to something along the lines of teaching the guys how to win and things like that. And Sabres Twitter, which and hockey Twitter in general, you're pretty active in, and you're pretty active with the bloggers and with everyone. There's kind of this feeling where, and I'm not saying I subscribe to this because I'm not really sure how I feel about it, that culture isn't actually a thing. That culture, like locker room culture, doesn't exist, and all that matters is player personnel. And player personnel is super important, but how do you feel about that theory, especially with all the talk today of establishing a winning culture in Buffalo?
Well, I think when you say culture, it's kind of a buzzword. I think it's something where you get the idea of what they mean, but it doesn't actually mean anything. I think in this case, it just means you're getting in there and making sure that the last 2 years didn't rub off on these guys and make them think like, well, if we lose 4 or 5 in a row, It's okay, we'll win one, and then we'll figure it out from there. You want to make it so that every game they lose, it just chews them up inside, and you say, you know what, forget this. We don't want to lose again. Let's go out and wreck shop the next game. You want to get into that kind of mindset where it's like, all right, this losing any game is unacceptable. It's easy to have gotten beaten down in the last 2 years. Where you're losing so much, and you're just kind of like, all right, well, this is kind of how it goes here. You want it to be a thing where this isn't how it goes here, and then we're not going to take that, and we're going to go out, we're going to improve, and going to actively do things that are going to make things better. I think that's when he talks about culture, I think just putting in a system that's going to succeed, and then winning just a few more games is something that's going to change that mindset right around, because the last 2 years with how bad it was, with injuries and just trading guys and everything, it just seemed like the goal was to play well enough to get traded out. Now it's about playing well enough to win every game and coming out on top of that like that. And that's something where, for young guys, that can be a tough thing to get a handle on. But the older guys, it's not something you have to worry about with them so much, because they hate losing. Period. And for the young guys, you have to make sure that losing doesn't set in as a mindset, like a psychological mindset where, hey, it's okay, we'll go out and get them next time. But you want it to have a bit more bite behind it.
All right, Joe. I think we've kept you on long enough. I have one more question for you, though. And I wanted to ask it back when we were talking about playoffs in the Sabres, but to this year's playoffs. 2 Game 7s. The Rangers and the Lightning play tomorrow night. The Blackhawks and the Ducks play on Saturday night. Who you got?
It's awesome to have this. To have it all come down to this. But
yeah, isn't it?
I think TV execs are going to get their dream. I think they're going to get a Rangers Blackhawks final. I think Anaheim is. Seeing the way Tampa and Anaheim played in those Game 6s at home, Anaheim is on the road. You see Tampa play at home, and it was like, they played a solid 40, and they were still down 2-1. And then, just everything comes apart in the third. And then it's just kind of like, all right, guys, well, how does that happen? Well, maybe sometimes it happens with a young team, but Anaheim just did not have it in Game 6. And you're just kind of like, all right, guys, well, you talked a lot of crap, let's figure it out. Now, Chicago's got that. They've got that edge to them where it's like, okay, time to go and get this done, and they're the team that gets it done. So I think we're going to get a New York Chicago final, and everybody who has anything to do with ratings is going to just go nuts about it.
All right, Joe. Well, we thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. Do you have any? Well, I'm sorry. Andy has one more question.
Okay. Game 7s or Games 7?
Games 7. I may have misspoken and said Game 7, but it's Game 7.
The only reason I ask is because I saw that whole debacle on Twitter yesterday, and it kind of blew my mind and destroyed everything I thought I knew about grammar and the NHL playoffs.
We've had that fight the last 2 years, and I think I used to say it Game 7, but I'm a full convert. Like you have to pluralize the first noun. It's got to be Game 7. Yeah, it's multiple games. It's not multiple 7s. Although you could get into a philosophical debate that it's 2 Game 7, two Games 7 being played, so therefore it's 2 7s. So then you could say, whatever. I'm just sending us down a wormhole of grammar hell.
It's what language is all about. We learn new things, and then we just kind of integrate it into our lives. But anyways, thank you so much, Joe. We really appreciate it.
There you go.
Real quick, I saw that you're cheating on your podcast by talking to us. You got anything you want to pimp, man? You want to talk about?
No, I was already doing radio, and our podcast is just a weekly thing. So it's I guess it'd be weird to cross promote podcasts, but man, I don't have anything to promote, so whatever. Keep an eye. I don't know.
We'll keep an eye on your Twitter links.
Yeah, that'll work.
Well, all right, Joe. Again, we really appreciate your time. I probably took a lot more time than I wanted to with you, but you're such an interesting conversation. So thank you.
Hey, no sweat, guys. It's always happy to help out.
Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
All right, that was Joe Yerdon of NHL.com, NHL.com correspondent for the Sabres.
Yeah.
So, Andy and I are going to switch gears here. We're going to have Andy move somewhere. So I guess really what I want now is we had Joe, which Joe was great. Thank you so much. Now I kind of want your opinion, and a few of you are listening to the show. We're going to talk about some things here. Man, I'm being really vague right now because Andy's not helping me. But, we're going to talk about some things. I want to talk more about Bylsma. Like, I think that was a great move to go and get him. I actually would have preferred kind of more of a developmental coach for a developmental team. But Bylsma has a good track record with, some younger players. I mean, Crosby was young when he was coming up, so that was good. And, like I said, I don't know if I wanted to make the big hire now. So it's odd to me that it's not odd to me because Pagula is a go big or go home kind of guy. So you just gotta you just gotta go with what they're giving you. But I think the Sabres, if they were looking for the big name to hire, Bylsma was the right guy to go to. Am I right, Andy?
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I couldn't agree more, man. I think as far as like kind of in the vein of not like Babcock Jr., but sort of along those lines. If you heard Joe mention that in the top of the show when the Bulls press conference was playing in the background of his headphones, we joked about how Tom Thibodeau had never missed the playoffs, and thus would be a good replacement for Babcock in the Sabres coaching hiring. But then he mentioned that Bylsma was the same way and that he never missed the playoffs as well, even though it was only a short period of time. And I have no idea how many years Thibodeau coached the Bulls, and I don't care because I don't care about basketball that much. But in all honesty, I think if you're trying to hire a name, obviously like Luke Richardson was a name that was tossed around a lot. People loved the idea of Luke Richardson, or at least some people did. I know our friend Ryan Wolf, who I think is listening right now and is the man, has a great podcast. We talk about it a lot. But
Ryan really is a good guy.
Yeah,
thank you.
He's super nice. I think Luke Richardson was really high on a lot of people's radars, but once you committed all that time, effort, energy, everything to once you committed all of those like resources basically to the Mike Babcock search, there's no way it would be very hard to turn around and hire Luke Richardson, especially anyone that's followed Sabres Facebook knows the type of fan that exists in this market. And we'd like to think that they're all, every fan out there is a Chris Ostrander or whatever, someone like, or a Derek Jadamski or, these people that think on a high level. But unfortunately, the cruel reality of it is that not think at a high level, but think it in a different way.
We want the big fish. Now that we have the big fish, now that we have the big fisherman owner with all the money, now we want to catch all the really good fish that we couldn't catch when we were kids.
And Joe Schmo out in Depew, like, he really wants the big fish, or Lockport or whatever suburb. Pick a suburb, Amherst, Tonawanda, any suburb. I'm not trying to be offensive, but they want the big fish now. A lot of people were so sold on Babcock that it's really, really, really hard to go back to a guy like Richardson, who, for those that don't know, coaches the Binghamton Senators, is good friends with Tim Murray, and was, as a lot of people say, including Jeff Merrick, that it was the worst kept secret in hockey that Luke Richardson was going to be pegged to be the next Sabres head coach. And now,
so much for that.
Yeah, now it's the worst kept secret that was never a secret. So, I think the Bylsma hiring is huge. And we actually talked about Bylsma on this podcast when we started the Coach Watch and Coach Search and everything. And I had mentioned that pre-Babcock being involved in the mix, that Bylsma was my number one choice. And he was my guy. And I'm very happy that he was hired, because I didn't think he was really given a fair shake, what with the amount of emphasis people put on his Olympics.
And I'm one of those people. I was really soured by his Olympic coaching. But I really failed to see, like, he came in as a rookie coach. He won with a team I don't want to say it was easy to win that with that team because, I mean, the year before they had Hossa. Hossa went off and went to Detroit for a quote-unquote better chance to win the Cup and ended up losing, which I love Marian Hossa, but the irony of that, or the coincidence, would that be irony? I'm never sure anymore.
I think that's irony.
That's totally irony that Hossa went to the Red Wings and then lost to the team that the Red Wings beat the year before.
Yeah.
Like, things could not have worked out better, I don't know, poetically for that reason. It was, and I love Marian Hossa. He's great to watch with Chicago. It's not fair, by the way, that Chicago has, like, 4 superstar players, possibly 5, in Jonathan Taves, Patrick Kane, Duncan Keith, who's a freaking madman,
he's a baller,
and Marian
dude.
Hossa, who's old but can still put up like 60 to 70 points a year in today's NHL. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's absolutely ludicrous.
Oh, I put in my wrong Twitter password. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's all my fault.
I don't want to tell you what I just did. I'll tell you after the podcast.
Okay, sure.
All right. But yeah, I think that it's I mean, I don't know how you can go back after trying to get Babcock. And on top of that, I think once you commit to the Babcock search, and then once you commit resources to Bylsma, you know, you're just looking for that specific type of coach. Not to say that Babcock and Bylsma are the same coach in any regard, because I'm really unsure if they are. But, you know, a semi-proven, in Babcock you haven't actually proven, a semi-proven guy who is kind of a boss. I don't know. I liked Bylsma. I liked the idea of Bylsma for a long time. He's younger. He's played with superstars. As Joe said, he does have, you know, he has capabilities with systems and player development. The playoff track record is okay. He also, don't forget, fell victim to some of the worst playoff goaltending.
Oh, Fleury.
Maybe that's ever happened.
And you know what?
In the history of ever.
And you know what? It's awesome. That point in time was awesome when, you know, they were playing the Flyers, so they had...
oh, that series was nutty.
With Brizgalov in goal, and they were letting in like 10 goals a game. That was probably one of the most fun playoff series I think I've ever watched. Like, so no defense whatsoever. It was fantastic. That's how hockey should be. No defense and so many goals. I know a lot of people who would disagree with me on that, though. But really, that's what it should have been.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. Well, okay. I'll say that, dude. We got tweeted at so much, and I wasn't able to see any of it.
No, that's okay. Apparently,
does Joe think hot dog is? We didn't ask if Joe thought hot dog was a sandwich,
and we didn't ask if he likes waffles or pancakes. We forgot to do a breakfast food draft.
We're gonna save that for the Megapod.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we're gonna have a mega podcast in the summer. What is that? I should know that date. Hold on, it's in my mentions.
Yeah, it's gonna be in like July 12th or something like that.
Oh man, I have a solid date.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 12th, July 12th. A bunch of us.
What a memory!
Twitter. Wait, you have really good job. A bunch of us from Twitter are gonna get together and do a mega podcast. It's going to be Husaria on Twitter. You got your boy Tom, which is what Andy would usually say, but he's busy, so I'm gonna act like Andy for a second.
What, Tom?
Yeah,
Tom
yeah.
and his great beard.
Yeah. Tom has great beard that he doesn't have anymore. Apparently, I'm just saying.
What? He shaved it off?
Yeah, he shaved it off. We're gonna have Brayton J. Wilson and Ryan Wolf, both Sabres Hockey Central guys, and we're also gonna have the one and only, the guy we had tonight, Joe Yerdon. Or Joe Yerdon.
Yeah, Yerdon.
I'm so
yeah, Joe's going to be there to bring... Wait, is Chris going to be there too?
Chris.
From 2ITV?
Yeah, he's part of this
of
message.
The
Sorry, it took me a while to get to him.
No,
but yeah, it'll be the... What is that, 6 of us now?
Yeah, we're all
it's 6 of us. We're going to do it from Andy's porch.
We're going to try to cram onto my porch and see what happens.
It's going to be so great.
I think I fit like 7 to 8 people on there before around a table, so...
Our voices are super deep tonight.
Dude, that happened the last time we broadcast from this location as well. This undisclosed location with which we broadcast from.
Yeah.
I was listening back to it, and yeah, I think our voices like modulate down, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
Because I was listening to it, and I was like, yeah, it's a Puck podcast.
Obviously, puberty. So, yeah, you know, that's what happens when you get older, and you know.
Dude, so what do you like? What do you think about the fact that we're going to see systems next year?
What are systems?
Yeah.
I don't even know what systems are. What are systems?
X's and O's, bro.
X's and O's and breakout plays
And grinding B's down.
and maybe some 2-3-4 check going on. I'm using all my NHL 15 terms that I know.
Yeah.
For anybody
When you
that
press-
actually bought that game.
You press up on the D-pad.
Yeah.
I set those
All the way up to a full out attack.
Yeah.
And, aggressive.
When I used to play NHL 14, I still do, but when I used to as well, if like anything ever goes bad, like I let in, I don't know, 2 goals in a game, and you can ask my buddy Josh because we play together a lot. Wolf, bringing out the tech terms. Yeah, I always we let in 2 goals. Like, oh, I gotta change the neutral zone formation. Gotta change this. Like, I'm a coach. Look at me coaching. Gotta change this. Like, gotta up the forecheck. Oh, we're probably too aggressive on defense. I'll turn that down. Because that totally has an effect.
That's how it actually works.
Yeah.
Didn't you know?
In real life, Bylsma was just gonna be like, guys, we gotta switch from a 1-3-1 to a 1-4-1-4.
Well, no, he just takes his PS4 controller and presses down on the D-pad.
And then everyone on the bench, and when they change lines, they all just shuffle over.
Right. They shuffle over.
An animation that has never been fixed in 15 years of NHL games.
Which is like, you've had 3D technology for how long, and you've just decided, nope, this is good, this is fine, everything is fine. Oh, Breakfast Draft is locked in for the Mega Podcast.
Oh, we're gonna have to.
I have to wait.
Crap.
I have to wait so long to do. Well, actually, that'll be after the draft. It'll be after 3. Oh my God.
Do you know what that time is gonna be used for? Research, bro.
Oh, that's right. You do those things for a draft, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay.
You don't just. Not every draft you just get to draft high.
I can't just. I can't just go. The Sabres select Sam Reinhart and walk away.
We'll take the good forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the 2 of them. Yeah. No, yeah. So what do you think, what do you think of the idea, of the things that Bylsma said about Jack Eichel?
Dude, he was gushing over him.
Yeah.
He's going gaga.
Yeah, you think that had an effect?
He can do everything. He practically said Jack Eichel was going to be an elite talent in the NHL. It's just he's 18.
I know, that scares me, dude. I get so scared because we never get this stuff, dude. Like the last time
you're right, you're right. But you know what? If just for once, I want to be happy about everything. Everything is great. Everything is awesome. I just want to be happy. I want to be really. Apparently, I got to scout more. Thanks, Laura. No, I just want to be. I can't wait that we finally have something like this. The moment we all waited for through this horrible, crappy season, and then we finally got it. And then Greg Wyszynski said, "No, that's not what you wanted." It's like, we were here. Yeah. We know what we wanted,
dude. It's getting so hard. It's getting harder and harder and harder to like Wish. It's getting harder and harder to like Wish and to pronounce his name.
It's been. I haven't liked him in a while.
I know a lot of people haven't, and I know I'm in the minority there. And like these voices are killing me. Sorry, Ryan.
Ryan.
Or we could just talk a little bit. We could modulate our voices up just a bit.
I would talk really fast. I don't know if I could do that.
Or anyways, safe to say this is the last time we use this location with what we're using.
Well, if we have to make phone calls, we have to use this location. So, damn it. Yeah, it's okay.
Anyways, I lost it. Oh yeah, so I loved that. Jeremy and Wish kind of went at it, and Jeremy White is who I'm speaking of, was very extreme about a lot of things during this. He was very polarizing, and that's what a good radio talent is, right? So many good radio talents are polarizing, especially in this market. It's a cheap and easy way to get, listens, which is fine. That's how it works. It's the same thing with television. But man, I was beating the drum with Jeremy White when he was like, "Dude, I've been here. I know what I'm talking about. I was here the whole time." I run a radio show with callers who call all the time. Yeah.
Who, let's be clear, don't represent the resounding opinion of the Buffalo Sports. But I mean, at the same time, we pretty much. Jeremy started the whole thing. We're pretty much we want last place so we can get one of those 2 picks, and he beat the drum all year.
Yeah.
And then we got what we wanted.
Sure.
And then this guy who runs a blog is just no, that's not what you wanted. It's
those
it is. It is. I have some. I have proof. Jerry's written articles. I have tweets from February and March saying nope, this is for Eichel. Not McDavid would be sweet, but Eichel's the guy here. 80%.
We talked about it on the podcast.
I know.
One of the first episodes when we were in my house.
The first episode.
Yeah. It was like, you're tanking for Eichel with the hope of getting McDavid.
Right. And it didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
Well, I think
it was a semantic argument, basically.
And I think
Wish was arguing real quick. Wish was arguing, no, you tank for McDavid with Eichel as the insurance, and we were saying, no, we tank for Eichel with McDavid as the prize. It's the same thing.
He's right there, but at first that's not how he
wasn't
started
what he was saying.
That's how he rolled back into it. But he started it with no, you guys totally did this for McDavid. It's like, no, we did it for the guarantee of number 2.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm done with Wyshynski there.
Yeah, Wish. Also, another thing, and I was kind of hoping to get him on, but
Alec jumps in here. He makes a good point. He's like, we wanted McDavid. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we didn't want Eichel. You can want both.
Yeah, he's right.
It's asinine to me that a guy from the outside decided, nope, that's what you think. That's what you're supposed to think.
Sure.
So.
And I'm getting so fed up with, but it works every time. Because when you're perpetually the underdog, not even the underdog, but just the forgotten about, kicked while you're down, just whatever, the butt of so many jokes, people will take every opportunity they can to rebut those statements, and refute your claims. Yeah. So it's become such a cheap and easy way, to the point where there's Stanley Cup playoffs on right now, and they're writing articles about the Sabres because they know pissing off Sabres fans.
And that we're able to convince ourselves that we wanted Eichel all along.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
It didn't take much convincing because we looked at the stat lines from one of the greatest freshman years in the history of the NCAA. So it took a lot of convincing for us to, I really had to convince myself to like Eichel and not McDavid.
At the start of the World Juniors, he was pretty good until the playoff rounds when he started playing tougher teams, and the U.S. roster really couldn't match up well to the other more talented teams. Which that's not Eichel's fault. We've seen time and again that you can't. Sidney Crosby can only do so much before the roster around him,
before his coach just coaches him into the ground.
Oh yeah, always the coach. I've been having this debate with this St. Louis Blues fan who the St. Louis Blues signed Ken Hitchcock to a 1-year deal.
Was it Blake?
Yeah, it was Blake. He hates Ken Hitchcock. But I'm trying to tell him, I don't think Ken Hitchcock is the problem in St. Louis. I don't think it's a coaching problem. They have Tarasenko, that he's really their high-level guy. But anybody else, I don't really put there. Backes, to me, is what you want Zemgus Girgensons to be in 3 or 4 years.
Sure, I'd be cool with that.
Right, but I would never. Backes, I feel has been a first-line center stuck, a second-line center stuck in a first-line center role. I don't think that's Backes. But I just don't think, the Blues have questionable goaltending. They have Brian Elliott, who's posted some good numbers behind a really good defense. Jake Allen is up and coming there. He didn't have as good of a season that I think they wanted. What have you done?
Nothing. I didn't do anything.
Okay, sure. I don't think he's he's not reaching his ceiling. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But you look at the Blues, they have Pietrangelo and Kevin Shattenkirk, and then what do they really have on defense after that? They have a failed Jay Bouwmeester, who flamed out, no pun intended, with the Calgary Flames. But really, I didn't intend that pun. But other than that, I don't really see what the Blues defense has to offer other than Shattenkirk and Pietrangelo. When Shattenkirk went out during the season, the Blues lost a lot of games. They couldn't win games.
Yeah.
And then outside of Tarasenko and Jaden Schwartz, who might or might not be a product of Tarasenko's awesomeness.
Same with Yori Laterra.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Yori Laterra, I can definitely say that about. Jaden Schwartz might actually be really good. Like, he is really good. I shouldn't say he might be. He's really good.
He's young, too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, TJ Oshie's a player that's like, he at the Olympics, he got this really big reputation, but I don't think he's ever been like a player that night in, night out. I mean, in the playoffs, he flames out all the time. But I don't think you can really blame the coach for that. You might be able to blame the GM, but then there's that whole thing where if the Blues finish, you know, around the middle or toward the bottom of the draft, like, how are you really getting talented? Like, Tarasenko was really lucky because he's Russian and people avoid Russians like the plague, and that ended up working out really well for them, which is good that they got that notion out of their St. Louis brains. I don't know what that even is an insult to. I don't think it's an insult at all. I just wanted to say St. Louis brains. But that'd be a nice team name. We should set up a team, St. Louis Brains. I don't know why.
I kind of makes me think of a guy named Lewis, whose last name is Brains.
Hey, Louis Brains, how you doing, buddy?
Louis, he's also a saint, too.
But for real, I don't think Hitchcock was the problem there. And I don't think a GM change is going to do anything either. We're talking about a guy that successfully traded Eric Johnson for essentially Kevin Shattenkirk. He got Chris Stewart in the deal, too. But he got rid of Eric Johnson, a number 1 overall pick bust.
Yeah.
Who's fared much better in Colorado.
He's a good. I watch a lot of Colorado hockey. He's
You and Sibbets is he likes Colorado.
Yeah, he's a lot better. He's forgotten about. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
The team they didn't make the playoffs this year, and he was out.
Right.
That one player does not a team make.
But they were able to trade him for Kevin Shattenkirk, which has worked out really well for the Blues. They've drafted some really good players. Like TJ Oshie's a really good player. David Backes is a really good player. They got Tarasenko, who's I would consider their only star. Maybe Pietrangelo is their star in defense.
Yeah.
But outside of those two, I mean, what do they have that can get you by a Chicago? I know LA's not in the playoffs, but LA's still really good.
Oh yeah.
And, I mean you're not getting by LA in the playoffs. They've been stunted by LA. Anaheim has really come up here. They have Getzlaf.
Yeah, isn't it funny how getting to the conference final validates so many things? You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden Anaheim is like looking like, wow, this could be a team now. You know, like again, like this could be a team that's gonna do stuff.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny. I bet my voice sounded normal when I did that voice. But yeah, I mean, I agree. The Ducks are an interesting case too. If the Sabres are built anything remotely like the Ducks, I'll be out, and that's possible. Look who the GM is, and look who was a big part of trading or drafting Getzlaf and Perry. Hint: it's the same guy. I mean, if we're built anything like the Ducks, I will be a friggin' happy camper, man. That's a fun team to watch. Granted, obviously, the team that I would love the Sabres to be built like is the Hawks. You want to be the Hawks. I
think if Tim Murray had his way, if you had to compare the Sabres' future to a team right now, I think if Tim Murray had his way, he's looking at the Ducks and saying, yeah, I want that, because he's looking at a center like Getzlaf, who's huge and is amazing. Mm-hmm. He wants a winger like Perry. I mean, that's your Evander Kane right there. That's who you want Evander Kane to be.
He's very polarizing as a player as well. That's just a fun sidebar.
Oh, that's another thing we can talk about. That great piece of work.
We should use that. We'll use that to wind down the show later.
Oh, sure. Thanks for listening, Ryan. He's exiting, apparently, listening to this edition.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, but I think when Murray looks at the kind of team he wants the Ducks. He wants it to be physical. I think he ends up with a more of a Blackhawks type team, because I mean Jack Eichel is your. How do we describe Jack Eichel? Jack Eichel, I've heard Getzlaf a lot with Jack Eichel. Yeah. But I don't think is he as big as Getzlaf? I'm not even sure.
It's tough because one is a full-grown man and the other is a
and Eichel's still like 190 pounds and 6'2".
He's not quite man-child status. Like Gergensons was like kind of a man-child.
Yeah, no kidding.
But
Getzlaf is 6'4", 218.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that skates like the friggin' wind, man.
Oh yeah. So I mean, he's a great skater, But I mean, I think with the type of talent that you have here, you're looking at more of a Blackhawks, maybe even more of a Penguins. You know, you're just going to have so much good depth down the middle, which is what a team needs to really go far in the playoffs these days.
The difference is you don't want to have the bottom six that the Penguins were straddled with for so long.
And that has a lot to do with, you know, how they're paying their players.
Sure. I mean, I made this argument to someone who said, like, oh, look at how, you know, I mentioned to Joe earlier, Penguins fans ripped apart Bylsma when they wanted him fired, and that was what a friend of mine, that was the argument he made for why it was a bad hire. Which, by the way, I'm not in that boat. I want to clarify that. I think, like I said, this is a great hire. I think. But he said, you know, look at how they got ripped apart. And my response was, Ray Shero got fired first.
Yeah.
You know?
Really, and Jim Rutherford came in and was like,
yeah, it was
Bylsma.
Yeah.
Which,
do what the fans want,
honestly,
too. You know, you're the new GM.
If you're a GM, you want to come in and bring your own coach in. I mean, Tim Murray's done it now. I mean, Shero. Shero's not going to get to hire Bylsma now. But that's typically how it works. Which is why I think that the Bruins promoted from within when they hired their GM in Sweeney. I can't think of the guy's first name for the life of me because I'd never heard of him outside of when he was hired. Is it Don? Don Sweeney sounds right.
Don Sweeney? Yeah, I think you're right. Sure.
So
yeah, it's been tough to follow the moves of other teams.
Right, because we're so focused. For once, we're so focused on big moves here, which it's never happened before. It's great.
And also, anything that happened, there's like PBE, which is like post-Babcock era. Like from the moment that it was like, okay, Babcock's hot and heavy with the Sabres, it was like, boom, that's all, this is it. You know what I mean? So like, there's so much news that broke. Like, even recently, the Sharks hired Peter DeBoer yesterday.
Oh my!
You know, like that's a thing, but it's just like forgotten about. He's not even in the NHL. Even like if you look on Twitter and stuff. Granted, a lot of it's covered up, on my Twitter feed because I follow a lot of Sabres accounts, but a lot of national accounts were tweeting more or posting more about Bylsma to the Sabres than DeBoer to the Sharks. And DeBoer's a great coach.
Here's
straddled by some bad teams.
I mean, he's been the coach of the Panthers, and he coached. I think the Kings that year were the 8th seed in the West, right? The Devils were a 6th seed in the East, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, when they went to the cup?
Yeah, so I mean, he coached a 6th standing seedings don't really matter, but I mean, the 6th and the 8th team, that never happens.
Dude, and like that, I remember watching the Rangers that year and being like, if there's a year the Rangers are going to the cup, I still thought they were going to get slaughtered by the Kings.
Well, the Kings were slaughtering everybody.
Yup.
Like, it wasn't even close.
But, man...
They won what? They won what? 16 of 19 games that year?
Yeah, they
lost 3 games.
Yeah, they went like 4-1.
Yeah.
In like in 3 of the 4 series. They swept one of the series.
Yeah.
That Devils team had no right getting going as deep as they did, and that was awesome that they did.
Well, I don't know if they had no right. They didn't have anything on defense. They
were boring. But like
they had a washed-up Martin Brodeur who was making it on the skin of his teeth.
That was the thing. Marty came out of nowhere.
Yeah, because he'd been having a few bad seasons, and then he got hot all of a sudden.
But
another thing that they had some good offensive talent. They had Parise and they had Kovalchuk, which Kovalchuk is one of the best players to ever play in the league. In my opinion, I think he got a bad rap from playing in Atlanta for years, and then he went to a better team, and he tore it up there.
Yeah, he's definitely really, 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 really insanely good. I mean, he would be elite. You could classify him as elite.
Sure, yeah. When he was playing, sure. I don't know. He's 33, 34 now, playing in the KHL. I don't know if he's going to come back over anytime soon. There have been reports swirling that he would like to. Blues legend Martin Brodeur.
That's Blues assistant GM.
Oh, yeah.
Martin Brodeur.
Blues legendary assistant GM. No, but...
Screw you, Lou Lamoriello. I'm the AGM.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, I mean... So... all of these things, which is funny because it's going to sound a lot lower. All of these crazy things that have been happening in hockey, and the Sabres are kind of at the pinnacle of it. You know,
They're at the center of everything. They're getting what I think a lot of this fan base has always wanted. Why can't we play with the big boys?
Sure.
Well, now we're playing with the big boys, and now people have hot takes on the big boys. Which is hilarious to me.
Super duper hot takes.
Yeah, there's always going to be the hot takeists.
There are, and that's what hot takes are what really fuels the world. Like feminists feed off of male tears, which is hilarious and awesome, and sports writers feed off of hot takes.
Kovalchuk's only 32. How dare me?
He could come back. He could come back.
Yeah.
That's true. He very well could. Thank you, Alec.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, if you're listening to this post-date, thank you, first of all. Second of all, if we just shout out random sentences, it's someone that tweeted at us.
Yeah, that's how we work it. We don't tell you who they are.
Yeah.
We just go, hey, Kovalchuk is only 32, man. He could come back.
That's pretty much. Actually, we should rephrase it. It's pretty much just Alec.
Yeah, Alec
occasionally
Will. You know.
Ryan was chipping in. Laura was there.
Yeah. We had Tom for a little while.
Also, I gotta go listen to the Instigators podcast later.
Yeah.
Chris
I was working, so I wasn't able to listen to that.
Chris did a thing.
Chris did a thing. And then, also, and something to note is that.
How dare me?
How dare me? That's right. How dare me?
Yeah. He deleted it.
Yeah, good. That's right. No.
All right, for the play-by-play of Twitter.
Nope. Another podcast that's being recorded tonight is Ryan Wolf and Brayton Wilson are doing a podcast for Sabres Hockey Central.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, and that'll be up tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So we have plenty of content today. Today was a great day for local content.
Hashtag listen local.
Yeah, definitely.
Tweet.
Listen to your bloggers locally. Listen to your music locally.
Yeah. Drink local.
Definitely drink local.
I mean,
Big Ditch Brewery just opened up.
I was there last Friday.
Was it awesome?
It was amazing.
I need to get there.
Found this out. Sarah Jean on Twitter made fun of me for it. The Big Ditch is the Erie Canal.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a thing. People know that?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was like, I don't know why they're called Big Ditch. Maybe it's because it's a weird beer thing, and like brewing companies have weird names. Nope. The Big Ditch is the Erie Canal.
Yeah. Do you know there's a Nickel City brewery coming up too? You know.
You mean Rusty Nickel?
Yeah, no, there was a Nickel City one too.
Wow. Because
Yeah.
I get that. We're the Nickel City.
Yeah.
Do you know why we're called the Queen City? I'm pretty positive this is true. I'm second guessing myself now that I'm saying it recordedly. That's proper grammar too, Alec. The Queen City is because we're the second largest city in New York State.
That's kind of what I figured.
So who would the King City be then?
Syracuse.
Yes, Syracuse. They have the big mall there. Yep.
Yeah.
You got it. We know New York.
Syracuse is funny to me because it's like a city in a whole.
It's kind of funny how at like 10:29 every time we just start to like, oh, the Big Bang Theory is really stupid.
It is stupid. The Big Bang Theory is awful.
This is not happening again. Not that I disagree with you.
But for real,
let's
though,
talk hockey.
Syracuse is like, it's a city, and then there's a highway going over it.
Yeah.
That's Syracuse.
I've never been to it.
I've driven over it. That's how I know.
And me as well. I've driven through it multiple times, and I've seen the carrier dome.
So one last thing I wanted to get to was...
Oh, I had a segue for this.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Yes.
Your segue is better.
Yeah.
Better than anything I could ever do.
So we were talking about how the Sabres have become like actually a thing in pop culture, not pop culture, in hockey culture. I'm thinking pop culture because of the friggin' Big Bang Theory. Damn it, TJ, you're derailing me 3 weeks ago. Anyways, the Sabres have become kind of a thing, you know, in mainstream hockey culture, and like people are actually talking about us, and like reporters are taking pot shots at us now because we're getting bigger. James Myrtle said that, you know, whatever. He's like, wow, Sabres fans are really riled up about this Babcock thing. You know, all this stuff.
Myrtle's a guy I think I'd like to try to get on here.
Dude, I was going to before Bylsma, the Bylsma thing happened. So you know how he was like tweeting at us and stuff.
I think it would be good.
I wanted to like let him come on and say his piece and say, like, you know, speak back to the Sabres fan base about why he thinks that the Sabres and the Leafs are in the same spot in their rebuild.
I'll tell you what, if we do another one of these before the mega podcast, I think we should try to get him on and get his perspective on the Leafs. I think that would be cool.
That would be, and how this is going to be like a race, an arms race,
yeah,
basically.
Sure.
So So we're a thing now, right? In the media,
people are talking.
At least for now, we might be getting towards the end of us being talked about until we start winning again.
Sure.
But
yeah.
That brings me to the point of sometimes when you're a popular team or you're getting more popular, haters gonna hate.
Yeah. And somebody from the Hockey Writers really hates Evander Kane.
It was great.
Also, what's his name? Carson Shields.
Yeah.
Carson Shields wrote a piece for the Hockey Writers, which gives you some good content. A guy by the name of Mike Straw writes for them, so don't hate everything from.
Oh yeah,
Hockey
Mike's
Writers.
a great writer.
Mike is a very
and
good
also,
writer.
by the way, this is relevant. He writes about the Jets for them too.
Yes, he does.
So not even all of their Jets writers are garbage.
Yeah,
because
right.
Ryan, I mean, and this isn't just biased because he's in the scene. Like Mike hustles and is what seems to be a really good dude and a great writer. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay. I mean, we were talking about him. But anyways, now we got to get to the crappy part of the Hockey Writers, which is some guy, Carson Stevens, he titles an article, How the Evander Kane Trade Helps the Manitoba Moose, and then proceeds to write what I think is just this horribly racist article where he basically says, I was with my nephew, and we saw Evander Kane, and he looked like he was busy, and he was on the phone, and we didn't want to bother him. But that's his fault.
Yeah.
Like, the guy was too chicken to go up to Evander Kane.
And he was nervous about how Evander Kane was going to treat his nephew.
Why? Why would he be nervous?
I don't know.
Evander Kane's just a guy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's
you think he's never been approached for an autograph before?
Right. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
The dude makes millions of dollars. He's not going to be like, an autograph? Oh my God, an autograph!
Yeah.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I'm Evander Kane.
Yeah. Can't you see I'm on the phone? I got stacks of money in my back seat right now that I'm trying to take care of.
In his ear because he's on a money phone.
Yeah, he's on a money phone. Yeah. I'm talking into my money phone.
We're talking about a guy who is too chicken shit to walk up to a star athlete. Let's just put it out there. A star athlete. He's an NHL athlete. He's a freaking star athlete.
Yeah. And a guy who's in the press and stuff, so he's known. And he dates a model.
Right. So, what model does he date?
Someone Teigen, like Chrissy Teigen's sister.
Oh, okay.
I mean, she might not be a model, but I don't know. She could be an actress or something. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not very good with pop culture. I'm like really bad with pop culture, actually.
Yeah, me too. That's why I asked, and you failed me. But anyways.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm still gonna have you back next week, or whatever week we get back together. But anyways, Evander Kane, pretty much this was a whole monologue on why this guy was like, well, we didn't go up to him, so now he's a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm sitting in
You were the one who didn't go up. You told your nephew, no, not this time. And then you got into your car and you drove away. Like, what kind of art? First of all, that was such a misleading title to the article.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. Yeah.
He never even discussed the Manitoba movie. No, he
doesn't even dance near it.
Yeah, he was just like, we traded Evander Kane to the Sabres and we got Joel Armia, blah blah blah. Like, but really, Evander Kane is a piece of garbage because I didn't go up to him and ask him for an autograph.
And that somehow helps I'm inferring that somehow helps the Manitoba Moose, a team that I don't think he ever played for, even the AHL affiliate. I'm not even sure if he played for the AHL affiliate of Atlanta. So, I guess what the inference there is supposed to be, they traded away this piece of garbage and got these two guys, and that helps the team. I don't know, it's kind of like a choose
But
your
meanwhile,
own
let me tell you
headline.
about why I hate Evander Kane.
Yeah. Also, what I think is kind of funny about this whole thing, and don't go read the article. You have no reason to. We literally told you the whole article now. There's no, I know human nature is curiosity.
Well, yeah,
it's literally he walks out with his nephew, sees Evander Kane, doesn't approach him because he's nervous how Evander Kane's going to treat his nephew for some reason, takes his nephew home. His nephew tells him, don't worry about it, unfazed. He drops his nephew off and then sits in his car fuming. That's the article. Anyways. Just so that you don't go, so you don't go read this article.
Yeah,
that's it. You got it.
Yeah,
and now no one gets a click.
The article's since been taken down. The hockey writers took it down last night after, but they waited until after Evander Kane said something about it.
He was like, "Yo,
that was awesome."
Yeah,
he went like, well, what did he say? He said, "I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure Brick from Anchorman could write a better article than Carson Stevens.
And Carson Shields, I think was his name, right?
I don't even care what his name is.
Yeah, sure. Also, that guy's mega dumb. They can tell if you're nervous, so just be cool. Laura.
Anyways.
That was Laura Kozaraki on Twitter. God, I can't pronounce her name. She's going to tweet it at me, I bet. But you can follow her at LAURA KOSIERACKI. You should do that. She's awesome. She's been a big Twitter friend of mine. So anyways, getting back to things about this article, I get the feeling that this writer was like, man, how am I gonna break out of like game recaps and like I gotta write this head. Not that game recaps are bad. I have no problem with game recaps. People write amazing game recaps and previews and everything. But I'm just like I got
Joe Yerdon. Yerdon. I
Yerdon.
really emphasize the on.
Yerdon, dude. It's
Yerdon.
It's almost exactly phonetic.
You're exactly phonetic.
Yeah, baby. So he was probably like, how am I gonna write a heady article like that steps outside of the day-to-day grind of writing these articles? I know. I'll write a think piece about Evander Kane. And then he pooped out that 600 words of vile atrocity. That's it. That's all I got. I just thought it was funny because you can imagine.
It was a vile atrocity, and it was. I mean, I've put out there already. I've said it. I thought it was a racist article because I think if it was a white guy, he would have gone up to him and been like, "Yo, what's up? My nephew wants your autograph."
Yeah,
but anyways, now that I'm on record as saying that, I think it's a good time to end the podcast.
No, I think you're right. I agree. There's always going to be hints of racism whenever it's an African American. Well, he's Canadian, but a black athlete that is brash in some way, has made a lot of enemies in the media for whatever reason. Not that I think it's deserved.
I just feel like those athletes. Look at Stevie Johnson's treatment here. I mean, I feel like those qualities they're accentuated to a level to where it's considered evil, and I don't get it.
Ridiculously unfair.
Yeah,
ridiculously unfair.
It's such a double standard. It's not even funny.
And then throwing the word thug around too is ridiculous. Like that's a charged word. I'm not sure I've seen it in regards to Kane, but you see it in regards to NFL players all the time. And the white guys never get called thugs. You know what I mean? It's like this is such an unfair double standard.
And it's funny because Richard Sherman's. I love Richard Sherman. I respect him so much as an intellectual person. I think he's one of the smartest athletes in the business. He was the one that really brought that up and said it's like when they say thug in the paper, they might as well just call us the N-word.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
No, so I agree. I'm sure there were hints of even if that wasn't his intention, or even if this writer didn't think of it in such a way. A, it's just a bad look to write that piece about Evander Kane.
I agree.
B, even if he didn't overtly mean it in that way, or even imply racism, it kind of feels like there was implied racism either way, and that in and of itself that's game over, Even if the intentions aren't there, it kind of still feels like it. I try not to get too.
I try not to get into this political correctness or the I don't want to say social justice warrior,
because that's so charged too now. But
it's funny because a guy listening now, Alec, he's always a proponent of social justice warrior is not an insult.
Yeah,
but it's thrown around as one.
Sure, I agree that's not an insult either.
Right, but
it's a way to belittle
now that it's
people.
Charged that way, now I feel bad for saying,
I don't blame you. Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm going to end this podcast on this note because it turned really dark and it got us talking about real life. And
we had to become adults.
This is supposed to be a fun talk about sports. We have fun on this. We talk about how The Big Bang Theory is the worst show in human existence.
Wow, really? Just
beating
that dead horse.
It's awful.
Beating that dead studio audience. Or laugh track,
I'm South Parking it. Which, by the way, I'm watching South Park again. Like, I'm watching it all the way through.
Oh, really?
There's so much stuff that, like, you miss watching that growing up. And now that I'm an adult watching that, it's just like, oh, my God. this is great. This is so horribly
Yeah.
awful,
Well,
but
sometimes
it's great.
sometimes I wonder like how I ended up with the weird ass brain that I have, and then I remember that I used to watch South Park religiously until I was a freshman in college basically, and I had stopped watching TV on a schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. South Park's great.
And now we have Hulu, and you can just watch it whenever, and it's great.
I've been watching. Wait, I get to talk about a show now.
Okay.
I rewatched the first season of True Detective last week.
Is that a
It's
good show?
amazing.
I don't get into like dramas
No, you
unless
should
they're like
watch
really
it.
nerdy.
It's
Like Doctor Who, I love.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
Like The Walking Dead, I think is really cool because zombies. But that
Yeah.
is that might as well be a soap opera for zombies.
Yeah.
Like-
I stopped watching after like the fourth season or the third season. After the third season.
I didn't watch the last half of this season like I started, and then I got so behind that I was like, I'll just wait for it to come out on Netflix, you know. But anyways, so that's TV shows with TJ and Andy.
Yeah. Welcome to the TJ, the TV Luck podcast. I'm melting out of my chair, dude. We had a writer from NHL.com on tonight.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
Joe Yerdon.
Shouts
Look
to
him
Joe.
up. Give him a follow at Joe Yerdon, NHL.com correspondent for the Buffalo Sabres. He was in attendance at the press conference today for the introduction of head coach Dan Bylsma. Really excited for Dan. Really excited. Crap. What did Matthew call it today? On
Files Mania.
No. Danticipation.
Oh, that's the best one.
Yeah. Well, now we can't use it anymore because he's here.
Yeah. Oh man.
But the anticipation is over. Dan Bylsma is the Sabres head coach. And that's it. Now the puzzle is complete. Now we go from here. Now we cheer for the team to win, which is really exciting.
Tune in next week for our new segment, Shooting the Shit with Sherm.
Yeah, I was talking to John earlier. We were talking to John earlier, and it just popped into my head of like, yo, we should shoot the shit with Sherm. Oh my God, that should be a segment somewhere. But no, for real. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been the Puck Luck Podcast with me, TJ Luckman, and you, Andy Meyer. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you, listeners.
See, it's funny because TJ has to leave the room to go turn off the podcast now. Bye, everybody.
Dude, quit being weird.